welcome to the program this morning, Perspectives Unlimited on Wells Radio 89.3 FM, the weekend edition of the program. Welcome to the program once again. My name is Ayo Emmanuel-Ojo. Thank you for joining us today. This is the program where we take you through the top stories, headlines, making the rounds in our nation, Nigeria, for the day. And today is the 9th day in the month of May, 2025. Welcome to the program. We take you beyond the news with in-depth analysis. But first off, we start from the front pages of major dailies in Nigeria. This morning, we have the Punch newspaper, Nigerian Tribune, and The Guardian. We read from the front page of the three of them, and then right after that, we take you straight into in-depth analysis to help you make sense of selected stories out of the dailies for today. On page 11, Tinubu Trump world leaders congratulate American Pope. On page 11 of the Punch. On page 19, Nigeria taps additional $215 million World Bank loan for palliative on page 19. And on page 27, Al-Makura Masari mobilize CPC block for Tinubu on page 10. And on page 7, Defense Headquarters links foreign headsmen to Benue, Plateau killings. And now to the major story this morning on page 2, refitting and repainting newly acquired presidential jet flown to South Africa. Tinubu using leased aircraft for foreign and local travels. And on page 7 and 10, Labour Party crisis. Akpabio taunts Obi as Oti demands Abore's arrest. On page 19, Wigwe U.S. helicopter firm may face criminal charges. On page 20, marketers warn federal government against hasty fuel import ban. And on page 4 and 5, UK police recover Nigerian teenagers' corpse inside lake. You find that story on page 4 and 5. And finally, Labour Party vows to defeat APC in Lagos LG poll. Now we move on to the next daily, which is the Nigerian Tribune. On page 3, Senate passes 2 remaining tax reform bills to go into conference with reps on page 3. On page 22, Security Summit, refrain from needless comment, Senate cautioned Defense Minister. And on page 3, Awo's 38th memorial anniversary and patronal service holds today in Ikenne, in Ogun State. And on page 3, foreign headers behind attacks on commuters, says Defense Headquarters. On page 12, in Education, 2025 UTME result consistent with 12 years trend, says JAMB. On page 22, Hawashu attained 7th position in national examination rating, says Adeleke. Tariff hike, Nigeria's internet users decline, NTC report on page 6. On page 4, reps invite Finance Minister, CBN Gov orders over non-payment of contractors since 2024. On page 28, Soludo says APGA has adopted Tinubu for 2027 as President defends economic reforms. That's in Anambra State. Tinubu seek confirmation of nominees for regional commissions. Adetumbi to chair Southwest, Unwuche to chair South-South on page 21. And on page 4, 2027, defund CPC, Chieftain Abbas, Niger, Katsina Gov, Imakura, others pledge loyalty to Bola Tinubu. And on page 20, Pope Leo, the 14th era begins. How Robert Francis Provost, first American Pope, emerge on page 20 of the Nigerian Tribune for today. Now let's move on straight to our final daily, which is the Guardian newspaper. Senate passes tax reform bill, meets reps for final draft on page 3. On the same page, I will not step down for false allegations, says embattled Akpabio. On page 3 still, Usman-led Labour Party committee suspends Abure Farouk for 6 months. And of course, on page 6, which is a major story here, Anambra Abga Obi's Kingsmen endorse Tinubu for second term. On the same page, Pope Leo XIV hopeful of building bridges with dialogue in turbulent world. And of course, grid collapse, 4 trillion naira debts stall Nigeria's transition to competitive market. Assembly crisis, House of Rep issues Benue Zamfara Gov a weak ultimatum. Insecurity, Nigeria will change when leaders are ready, says expert on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. And that's all we can take across the major dailies in Nigeria for today. We read from the Punch newspaper, the Nigerian Tribune, and the Guardian. You can also call your vendor or go online and read from your favorite platform to find stories making the rounds in Nigeria. Once again, good morning. We'll be right back with analysis in a moment. All right, you're welcome back to the program. Thank you for joining us. This is Perspectives Unlimited on Wells Radio 89.3 FM. We're broadcasting live from Wells Broadcasting House along Alaafin Avenue, Oluyole Estate here in Ibadan, the capital of Oyo State. My name is Ayo Emmanuel-Ojo. Thank you for joining us on the program for today. Our analyst is in the studio to help us make sense of major stories making the rounds in our nation, Nigeria, for today. But remember that the conversation is not just about us here in the studio. You can also join the conversation when we, set it in motion. We'll put out the studio lines in a moment. But before then, you can watch us live on our Facebook page also. Go straight to our Facebook page this morning, facebook.com/Wells Radio 893 FM fan page. Wells Radio 893 FM fan page. At the same time, you can watch us live on YouTube, Wells Radio 89.3 FM. That's our name on YouTube. Watch us, engage, like, share, and drop your comment, and you can be very sure that we will take your comment live this morning. Our analyst joins us on the studio, Mr. Olale Konsani. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Chief.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm well. And how has your week been?
Oh, glory to God.
Oluwashu. We thank God. All right. One of the major highlights of the week is, of course, the new Pope, Robert Francis, Provost-elected new Pope. The new Pope of the Roman Catholic Church. The Church has ushered in a new era with the election of Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost as a new Pope following the passing of Pope Francis. His historic announcement was made yesterday, the 8th of May 2025, when the College of Cardinals elected Prevost as the 267th pontiff, making the first time an American has ascended to the papacy. Born in Chicago, the 69-year-old now assumes the name of Pope Leo XIV, stepping into a spiritual leader of over 1.3 billion Catholics, around the globe. And prior to the ascension of the new Pope, I think on Sunday here, the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, had dropped this artificial intelligence image, AI image, of himself dressed as a Pope, after the death of Pope Francis. And I want to try and see, I made a screenshot, of his caption there. And he says, I would like to be Pope. And that would be my number one choice. The image of Donald Trump dressed, like a Pope with one of his fingers up. And when it's time, I would like to get your reaction to that, as I see it as pure politics here. Donald Trump trying to be political about the office of the Pope. Is Donald Trump aware of anything? Because now the new Pope is the first American, to be Pope. He also put out a tweet yesterday that he would like to meet the new Pope, and it's going to be something great, for their nation, the United States of America. And also, on 7th of May, we got the news of the passing of the Bale Oluyole Estate, Chief Yemi Ogunyemi. That's also on the Nigerian Tribune. The Bale of Oluyole Estate in Ibadan Southwest Local Government, Chief Yemi Ogunyemi, is dead. The death of the veteran journalist who worked with the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, for many years was announced in the early hours of Wednesday. Ogunyemi, a promoter of Yoruba culture, until his death was a prominent member of the Council of Traditional Ballets of Ibadanland. And also the story of, we took that this morning again in the Daybreak News, as Nigeria officially removes self from the International Monetary Fund IMF debtor list following the full settlement of its outstanding credit obligation. Is it time to say congratulations to Nigeria? Let's quickly run through some of this, key stories of the week. But let's start with, since Bale passed, I'm not sure we've met. Yes, so let's quickly pay our tribute to Bale.
Yes, I did that. I did that in the morning of yesterday when I was here. Bale was a fantastic human being. He was an all-round success. He was someone that you couldn't stay with for 1 minute and not laugh.
Absolutely.
He was a complete gentleman. When I heard about the passing of Bale, a part of me actually went numb for a long time, because despite the fact that the man was an old man, nobody would want a good man to go. That is, though we were not related by blood, but I learned a lot of things from him from my short time of knowing him, and these are things that will be with me for the rest of time. I pray to the good Lord Almighty to accept his repose and be with his family.
Amen. Amen. Let's go to the U.S. quickly. The new Pope.
The truth of the matter is that Donald Trump was just trumping on Sunday when he posted that thing. He was just trumping because he drew a lot of backlash from the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church in Rome, in America, everybody said, don't try that ever again in your life. This is the peak of what we have been doing all of our life. Yeah. All of our lives. All of us, cardinals, bishops, priests, that's the epitome of their career. And you are just sitting somewhere in the comfort of your room and you are tweeting about being the best of them. Don't try it again. A lot of people are saying that maybe there was a clue, there was a hunch or something that we didn't get. I don't think that's the case. If you look at the immediate past Pope, he was a reformer. He was an extreme liberal that, permitted a lot of things that people would say, our Catholic Church permit this. Now, they don't want to go that line anymore. But they wouldn't want someone who is going to undo most of the things Pope Francis did. So they brought in a moderate guy. The new one, there are three branches here. We have the liberals, you have the conservatives, and we have moderates. He is a moderate. The new one is a moderate. The immediate past one was a liberal. The penultimate one, Pope Benedict XVI, he was an extreme conservative. So they have been swinging it around just to make sure that they balance things up in a changing world. I don't think Trump had any input in this. It was just the time of a moderate person to be the Pope, and it was the turn of Cardinal Prevost.
So you would say that being the first American Pope and of course the tweet of Donald Trump,
it's something
it's
something they have been clamoring for a long time. Pope.
So things just
Pope John Paul.
It just kind of worked.
Pope John Paul was there for a very, very long time. When the demise of Pope John Paul was announced, a lot of Americans, in fact, there was a particular cardinal from Chicago that they thought was going to succeed Pope John Paul then. Another one from New York, another one from Maryland. They had 3 then, but it couldn't work for them. They elected a German then, by the name Ratzinger, who adopted Benedict XVI as his name. And he didn't die initially. He just felt like he couldn't carry on with the duty of the Pope, and he resigned. He stepped aside. And that was what brought in, Pope Francis. And when Pope Francis expired biologically, people said, let's look for someone who's going to be in between, a moderate guy, not an extreme liberal or an extreme conservative. And they said, let's stay in the middle. In all seriousness, that's what I think brought Prevost. Nothing more than that. In fact, in all seriousness, former Cardinal, now Pope Prevost must have been a very, very fantastic man, because I understand the ideology of Catholic faithfuls. They are rigid. For them to still choose him after what Trump posted means that he is a human manager. He knows how to manage people, because a lot of them would have been hungry. But still,
just because of the tweets.
Yes, but still they calmed down to say, let's look beyond what Trump did. I mean, something must have been exceptional about the guy. And I just hope and pray that he continues on the path of the former guy, because he was a voice for the people whose voices were muffled by the turbulence of the global order today. Migrants, people who are experiencing famine. I mean, he spoke for people he washed the feet of an African migrant. It never happened in the history of the church. The Pope washing the feet of an African migrant.
A black man.
I mean, I would want it to continue in that particular direction.
All right. Well, the white flame went up yesterday. Even earlier in the day, it was a black one. But later in the evening, the white flame went up. So congratulations to the Catholic Church. Now let's talk about...
Sir, you may want to explain black flame,
okay,
white flame to people.
I'll let you do that.
Oh, okay,
yes,
okay.
I'll let you do that.
Well, the truth of the matter is that after the demise or the resignation of the Pope, cardinals gather to elect a new Pope. Before you can emerge, you must have 2/3 of all votes cast by cardinals, present. Before Pope John Paul carried out a reform, anybody who is a cardinal could have gone in. But after Pope John Paul was there and his health was failing, he said, if you are 80, naturally you are at the twilight of your life. You won't function like you used to function earlier in your early days. And he said, once you are 80, don't participate, so that you won't emerge as a pope. The bottom line here is this. They all write the names of their preferred candidate on a piece of paper. When they do the calculation, if it's up to 2/3, when they are burning the paper in the chimney, they are going to add a particular chemical substance that is going to give it their color of preference. If it is black, it means that there is no conclusion yet. If it is white, it means that, a pope has been selected. And, to avoid confusion, is it black smoke, is it white smoke, they have now added the option of ringing bells. If it's black, they are not going to ring bells. But once there is an absolute decision, they are going to start ringing bells. And not something I would like to say, but, the reforms came sometime in the 18th century. They gathered for 6 months. They couldn't get anybody, such that Catholic faithfuls had to open the door and say, pick somebody right now, today, pick somebody and stop this back and forth. So that is it.
All right, let's talk about Nigeria quickly. Nigeria officially removed itself from the International Monetary Fund. Congratulations. Right?
No, not yet. Not yet, Uhuru. We are talking about a particular loan here, not everything we are owing the IMF. It's just the loan collected in April of 2020 to support COVID loan, to support the economy when the price of crude suddenly fell. That is what we are talking about. It's not as if we have paid all our
But
debt.
at least we've paid one.
We've paid, no, we were. They gave us the loan in 2020.
Yeah.
We were supposed to start paying in 2023 and complete payment in 2025. That's what happened. At least we have cleared our COVID.
I remember sometimes on the show, you made an analysis of how much each of us as Nigerians, we are owing. So how much did each of us pay in this one now?
We paid collectively $3.4 billion, and the charges, the interest, the everything. We were talking about maybe upwards of $4 billion here. And, like I told you earlier, we have been paying since 2023. And the calculation I gave you then was, we were talking about maybe we were still owing 700 mil as of then, but now we have cleared the 700 mil. But we have borrowed more than $700 million since that time, because almost every month the federal government, through bond, treasury bill, everything, borrows an average of 1 trillion naira per month. And we are talking about foreign borrowings as well, from the AFDB, from the World Bank, China. Things are not getting better. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
Let's get to our first story for today. Refitting and repairing newly acquired presidential jet flown to South Africa. At least 20.03 billion naira was spent on the maintenance and operation of the presidential air fleet from January 2023 to December 2024. This was as the new presidential jet purchased last year has been flown to South Africa for refurbishment and upgrades. Finding by the news correspondent by GovSpend, a civic tech platform that tracks and analyzes the federal government spending, reveals that for 2024, the payout amounted to 14.1 billion, 14.15 billion, representing 71% of the allocation for the fleet in the 2024 fiscal year. Most disbursements were labeled Forex transit funds, usually funds allocated for foreign exchange requirements to facilitate international transactions and engagement. For the presidential fleet, such funds cover expenses related to operations abroad, including fuel purchases, maintenance of services in foreign currencies. In July 2023, 1.52 billion was disbursed in two tranches, 846 million naira, 675 million naira for presidential air fleet Forex transit funds. Let me get your reaction in on this particular story. Refitting and repainting.
I am not surprised. We bought the jet. They bought the jet last year, 2024. And the jet they bought was not a new jet, despite the fact that officially they have not told us how much they bought it. But we have been able to carry out our research, and we realized that they bought it for something upwards of 100 million, around $160 million. The jet they bought, hey God, is a jet manufactured in 2009. Nigeria is the fourth owner of that jet. The one they dropped for the one they bought in 2009 was manufactured in 2005. So you are dropping a jet of 2005 in the year 2024 for another one manufactured in 2009. I mean, is it making sense? That is number one. Number two, I carried out my own extensive research on that particular topic when it happened then. I saw a jet. The same brand, the same model, the same specification, everything. In fact, that one was even 2012, 3 years more recent than ours, and it was going online for the rate of $35 million. $35 million. But we bought ours that was manufactured 3 years earlier, 2009, for something in the region of $160 million. Does that make sense to anybody? That's that. Now they are talking about refurbishment and refitting. Had it been that they spent even, let's say, half of the 160, 80 mil on a jet, would they have been spending other money right now on refurbishment and refitting? It tells you clearly that the chicken is coming home to roost. And I hope and pray that these people will not buy what is going to choke them. That's it.
Meanwhile, the President's Special Advisor on Information, Bayo Onanuga, argued that the new Boss 330 aircraft and the cost of maintaining it, A330, are not for the President's comfort, but in the interest of Nigerians. He says that if it's not President Tinubu's plane, it belongs to the people of Nigeria. It's not our property. The president did not buy a new jet or did not buy a new jet. What he has is a refurbished jet. It has been used by somebody else before he got it. But it is much newer model than that one of President Muhammadu Buhari.
That is where the lie is coming from. No, I mean, the lies are coming from. Number one is that it is not much more than what Buhari used. The one Buhari used was actually bought by Obasanjo in 2005, and it was brand new. I should tell you that is not a fact.
That's about 20 years ago.
The plane being used by President Trump was used by President Clinton.
Oh, well.
Clinton.
Much more older.
In fact, we're not just talking about much more older. It's around 13 years older. They commissioned that jet around 1992, and they are still using it till this very present day. We bought ours, Obasanjo 2005, 13 years after the one they bought in America. It's still functioning, but the president just felt like he doesn't want to use a jet that his predecessors used. Instead, he bought one manufactured just 4 years after. That is, I'm trying to burst by your own gaslight there. And the second point is that we're talking about lack of transparency here. Like I told you, A330 executive jet, that is what they call it. I saw one that was going for $35 million online. That one had just one, if I'm not mistaken, just one previous owner. Ours had been used by three different people before we bought it. And we bought it at a rate, going around at least 5 folds of what the other one I saw was going for. So it means that at least 4 folds of the money was... The point here is this. Nigeria is a government. There is the Ministry of Aviation. There is the Office of the National Security Advisor. I should tell Nigerians that it's the Office of the NSA, National Security Advisor, that is actually in charge of these jets. That's that. We didn't buy the jet with our name. Rather, we went to America, a company in Florida, Miami to be precise, to ask this company to buy a jet for us. What that means is that I went online. I went to the Instagram page of this particular company. The company advertised the jet for sale, like, if I'm not mistaken, 18 months earlier. The last time they actually had a jet to sell was 18 months earlier than we approached them. We now begin to wonder what exactly is happening here. I said something in one of your Yoruba programs then. If because you want to do things the way you are doing it, you are buying what may actually send you to the other side, trust me, the world is not going to pause for a second. If you go, you go.
Let's take a break quickly. We'll be right back shortly. Perspectives Unlimited continues right after the break. And of course, I'll put out the studio lines. We talk about Nigeria. Stay with us.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The general public is hereby advised to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Verify the licensing status of such schemes on these websites: www.cbn.gov.ng, www.nicom.gov.ng, www.pencom.gov.ng, www.sec.gov.ng, www.fsrcc.gov.ng. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call CBN 0817-665-7060, 0707-338-4828, SEC 0209-462-1168. Announcer, FSRCC.
Boost your business with Wells Radio 89.3 FM. In a competitive world of business, strategic brand and product positioning is key to growth. Don't remain unseen in the shadows. Shine a spotlight on your brand with Wells Radio 89.3 FM today. Why Wells Radio? We are your state's #1 family radio station. We connect with the heart of families in your state. As the smallest unit of the society, families trust Wells Radio for quality content and information. Visit us today along Alafin Avenue, Oluyole Estate, Ibadan. Our white and blue building just before Sharp Corner ensures your business won't go unnoticed. Advertise with us today. Call our marketing office on 0903 936 8185. Call Toby on 0803 509 3394. Yomi on 0706 616 5053. Take the leap today. Let Wells Radio 89.3 FM be the megaphone for your business success. You won't regret it.
Wells Radio 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
Welcome back to the program Perspectives Unlimited. 0916-893-1000, 0916-893-2000, and 0915-334-893. 0916-893-1000, 0916-893-2000. You can join the conversation, especially around the story of the refitting and repainting of the newly acquired presidential jet flown to South Africa. Some form of maintenance, we'll call that, at least to make it look good. Yes, to make it look good. Let's talk about security this morning. Defense headquarters links foreign headsmen to Benue and Plateau killings. The defense headquarters has attributed the recent spate of violence attacks in Benue, Plateau, and other parts of Nigeria to foreign headers who have infiltrated the country through its porous borders. Speaking during a press briefing in Abuja on Thursday, the Director of Defense Media Operation, Major General Marcus Kange, said, "Hello, good morning. Let's take your thought."
Hello, good morning, sir.
Let's have your thought. Good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Ruth calling from Malakia.
Good morning, Ruth from Malakia. Thank you for calling us.
Sir.
Your thought.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, on the statement accredited to the defense headquarters, the foreign headers are behind the attack in some states. To me, it's just that the government is running away from the truth. Because I believe if they are ready to fight this man out, they will fish those behind it out. But where we have that they giving us reasons behind the attack instead of covering it. So it's high time the federal government spring into action and stop telling us different stories. Because we are tired of telling these stories. They keep killing Nigeria every day. Is this what we want, or for them to do the needful? We'll be voting for them to secure the lives of the masses. But here we have that they are just toying with the lives of the masses. It's not the way possible. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you so much, Aderonke. Thank you for your contribution. This morning, Major General Marcus Kingia said linguistic and physical evidence suggests that many of the attackers are not Nigerian nationals. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Aderonke from Muslim.
All right, Aderonke from Muslim. All right, good morning to you.
Yeah, concerning the presidential jet, the aircraft should be maintained. There's nothing wrong with normal maintenance. But in this case, certain things are wrong. First is the spending of so much money to acquire the jet, while the existing presidential one was still very okay. And at a time when the people were being made to pay heavily to revamp the ailing economy, then why must it be South Africa that the maintenance should be done? Why not in Nigeria here? It will be costing so much to do this, still under an economy that is yet to recover, and even ease the living of the people. So the right thing should be done in the interest of the taxpayer and the suffering people. Wastage should be checked, attention should be given to security and the hunger in the country. That's my own take.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your thought this morning. Before we move on to the story of the defense headquarters, please help us make sense of the choice of South Africa. Because again, I saw on social media yesterday as to can't painting be done in Nigeria. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. That's Sheriff from Onara. Good morning, Sheriff.
Regarding the repeating, the federal government of today like wasting our taxpayers' money. Yes, I don't know why they can't. Everything they want to do, they should patronize local manufacturer or local food or something like that. We should do it in our own land here, because of we the masses. Because number one assignment for a good governor is security of life and property must be paramount to them. But if we didn't take it in a serious hand, that means they are deceiving us. They don't even care about us. So please, we are begging Mr. President to do the needful on time because time is going. That's my own submission.
Thank you so much, Sulaiman Sherry from Monaro. Let's pause on this security issue quickly. We'll be back to it. But that reservation of a lot of people as to why the choice of South Africa? Isn't it just painting?
Thank you.
Or refitting? Can that be done?
When we're talking about painting and aircraft, we're not talking about your roadside painter.
Like just
but somewhere.
Put aside the oven.
That's what we're talking about here.
Right.
We're talking about something that requires precision and skill. Boeing has a maintenance facility in South Africa. Gulfstream has a maintenance facility in South Africa. And it's the same thing for Bombardier and all of these other jets manufacturing companies. Why is that? Number one, the purchasing power is higher there, which means that there are more people who have jets there than here. That is number one. Number two is that the government knows exactly what they are doing there. So they have been able to stabilize a lot of things from power to reasonable taxing system and things like that. It's not just the air industry. If you see BMW's office in South Africa, you're going to cry for Nigeria. I can tell you that 8 out of every Mercedes-Benz C-Class you see anywhere in the world is manufactured in South Africa. I'm not talking about assembling like we are doing with Innocent. Pure manufacturing, right, from scratch. The last point, South Africa. Mercedes-Benz has a major manufacturing hub there. The same thing for, BMW, Volkswagen. The list is long. And it's not just, like I said, it's not just these people. Even shipping industry, the wave at which South Africa is up, the wavelength at which they are operating is quite different from ours. There is no electricity. People don't have money. Insecurity. I mean, if you are the CEO of Boeing, will you bring such a facility? That's just the point. I've been saying something. If I were to be the president of Nigeria, within 6 months, Toyota, what exactly do you need? If you cannot start manufacturing Toyota here,
that's with the way Nigerians even use their product.
Toyota. Yeah. 5 years, nobody's going to bring Toyota into this country anymore. These are the policies you come up with, not policies that will further impoverish the people. If you're talking about economic reforms, it's about putting the right things in place and now asking manufacturers, you can see that we have done our own part. You too, come and start manufacturing here. Otherwise, forget about our market.
Let's get back to security. Major General Marcus says linguistic and physical evidence against the situation suggests that many of the attackers are not Nigerian nationals. When you hear them speak, they can often tell you that they are not from here. For example, the Hausa spoken in Nigeria differs from that spoken in Mali, the Central African Republic, or Ghana. He further explained that their accent and intonation as well as their hair texture clearly identify them as foreigners. When we arrest these herders and terrorists, their speech and even their hair distinguish them from Nigerians. Perhaps only the Shua Arabs in Borno State have similar features, but not quite the same, he added. His comment come amid growing outrage over incessant header farmer clashes that have left hundreds dead and thousands displaced in the country. Let's attend to this call. Good morning to you. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello.
So this is Mr. George.
All right, Mr. George. Mr. George, good morning to you.
Yes. Yeah. You see, if I say our government keep pushing up repeatedly fuels that are already.
Hello, Mr. George.
Are you hearing me?
Oh, yes, though failing, but all. However, the Benue State Governor, Reverend Father Alia, had previously alleged that foreign headers were abusing the ECOWAS protocol on free movement to enter into Nigeria and wreak havoc. And while acknowledging that some Nigerian headers also contribute to clashes, the Major General emphasized that the most violent incidents are mostly perpetrated by non-Nigerians. The question would be, where is the gateway? Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, well, sir.
Good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from, sir?
I'm Salami from. And it has always been happening before, but during the reign of President Buhari, it became more obvious, honestly. In fact, it's like he literally opened the Nigerian borders to them to come. And as a result of that, they now saw Nigeria, of course, they still see Nigeria as a conquered territory for them. I was at the immigration office to renew my passport, I think 2019 or 2020. What I saw there was appalling. You need to see this land. Of course, you will see them when you know them. You need to see them kind of even struggling passport. In fact, they were even attended to before most of us there. First, I was able to spot them, honestly speaking. And what that therefore portends is that they are legalizing their nationality as Nigerians. And only God knows how many of them have it like that. Even in our appointments in NPC everywhere, he did not just bring them in, he actually empowered them through various appointments and whatever. Now, what I just want to appeal now is that President Bola Tinubu is now there. He needs to write his name in gold, honestly speaking. If it is only two things he can fix for Nigeria, kind of rescue Nigeria from the grip of the Fulanis, honestly speaking. Let's have peace in this country, number one. Number two, electricity. He will remain dearest in my heart, honestly speaking. And that's the only thing I think he can do right now. Nigeria must be rescued from the Fulani grip. Now that defense headquarters have identified that, it is sinking into action. If they need to kind of, double their surveillance on our borders that have been so porous, maybe especially in the northern area of Nigeria, of course they should do. Of course, they are professionals in this area, so they know what to do. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Salami. Mr. Salami said, now that the defense headquarters have identified this, they should swing to action. My question to you would be, is this the first time we're getting such reports, maybe from the military or even the defense headquarters? But when are they going to swing to action with?
From the military quarters, this is the first time they are saying it. And I should tell you that it's actually the truth. I have heirs in that part of the country, and from what I have heard from my contacts there, it's not Nigerians that are doing these nefarious things. Rather, it's people from outside of the country. But, that's what you and I can say. For the Major General who said that yesterday, in all seriousness, if Nigeria were to be functioning well, it should be in a guard room right now. Because the military has one function, just one function. And that function is to defend and protect the country from external aggression. Now something has been happening since 2014, and the only reason you can give to why it is happening is the same reason that you are in the employ of the government. It shows and tells the whole world that you are grossly incompetent. Because if you are not incompetent, such would not have been happening in the first instance. It is happening. I mean, it's like you are a teacher. Your job is to teach your students, and your students perform poorly in an exam, and you are saying, oh, the teacher must have been a very terrible teacher. it's an admission of guilt. If your principal is a right-thinking human being, he should sack you right there on the spot. And this is exactly what these guys are saying. They are saying that...
Let's take this. Hello, good morning.
Sorry, George has to call.
All right, Mr. George, yes. Please go ahead.
We are not just knowing about this thing. That is what I'm saying. We are not just knowing about it. And the military cannot deny that they are just knowing that they are foreigners that are doing this thing. Why are we allowing them to continue to do this? Take, for example, the first set of Fulanis who were carrying a gun. They were carrying the old gun that we used to fight civil war, made from Russia. Now they have changed. They are now using AK-47. Is the military saying that they don't know the source of those ammunition? And they are raiding military formations, and they are taking away all our ammunition. And we keep saying that the army is not properly funded. Are they dining with them? And who are the people doing it? These are the things we should be talking about, not what is he telling us now that we did not know before.
Thank you, Mr. George. What exactly is he telling us that we do not know before? This is not the first time Nigerians
there's something,
saying this. I remember a senator from Plateau, also said the same thing.
Civilians can say that. I can say that. You can say that. Mr. George can say that. But a military personnel should not say that, because you are actually working to ensure that such would not happen. And now you're using your mouth to say that, it is happening. Like I said the other time, police officers are there to maintain law and order. Military personnel, Air Force, Navy, Army, their sole role is to ensure that nobody comes from outside the boundaries of this country to attack Nigerians. It has been happening since 2015. 2025, you will still open your mouth to say, it's people from outside of the country. So what exactly is your role? What is your function? It means today that Nigeria can actually survive without an army, without an air force, without a navy, because what they are supposed to be doing is not being done. And that is why these people from all sorts of countries are coming to the country to kill and do all sorts of horrible things here. In all seriousness, we need to rejig our military. We need to rejig it.
What's your expectation after this, at least, statement from the military? Maybe they will then swing to action. At least now that the military, the defense headquarters know.
No, they are just openly. See, it's about semantics. It's about saying that, and we are trying, No, they're trying to confuse people who do not know the functions of each and every of these government agencies. But some of us understand the basics, and that is why it's difficult for them to swindle someone like me. I do not expect anything different. Everybody knows, it's an open fact that the people who are doing these things are not Nigerians. Instead of working, rather, you are actually seeking our sympathy. That we are actually trying. It's the boogeyman, somebody that we do not know that is. It's all nonsense. It is all nonsense. And minding the fact that though it's 2 years from the election year, our politicians are now focusing on 2027. I do not expect anything to happen. It's not what I would wish for, but it's what reality is pointing at. Nothing is happening.
Let's take our final story. Senate passes tax reform bill, sets VAT at 7.5%. And after 6 months of debate, the tax reform bill have been passed by both the House of Representatives and the Senate, and now awaits harmonization. The first two bills, the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill 2024 and the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill 2024, were passed on Wednesday. The remaining two, the Nigeria Tax Bill 2024 and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill 2024, were passed on Thursday. And while passing the bill, the Senate pegged the value-added tax VAT rate at 7.5% and the distribution of the state VAT allocation to be 50% for equality, 20% based on population, and 30% based on consumption, as proposed by the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee. It also recommends a VAT sharing formula of 10% for the federal government, 55% for state and the Federal Capital Territory, and 35% for local government. I know sometimes ago we did this mathematics and it's still looking the same way. But let me get your thoughts in on this.
The truth of the matter is that I want to commend the National Assembly to a reasonable extent. They redid the mathematics. At the initial point, it was designed in a way that would favor Lagos unimaginably. But the House of Reps started, and it appears that the Senate is also going in that direction. Now we are talking about focusing on population, 50%, and equality, population, and what's it called, consumption. Consumption is key for me. And I will keep saying that for as long as the matter remains the same. You and I use phones every day. You and I do banking transactions every day. But because the headquarters are in Lagos, the headquarters of these companies are in Lagos, all our VAT goes to Lagos. While I'm using the product in Ibadan here, it's not making sense. Even fintechs that almost everybody uses today, the headquarters are in Lagos. And I am in Ibadan. I'm sending money to you in this studio. But simply because the headquarters of my company, of my bank is in Lagos, I would have to pay my VAT to Lagos. It's not making sense. I'm talking about consumption. Let's find a way to redefine consumption. If it's a case of, okay, where did you open your bank account? That is the state where they are going to send your VAT to. I understand that. I agree with that. But just this idea of lumping everything together and sending it to Lagos is not making sense to me. Because in all seriousness, in the last 20 years, what exactly have they been using the humongous amount of money they are collecting in Lagos to do? A particular guy collects 10% every month, and we're talking about sending more money to Lagos. People who are saying Lagos is different from other states, they're actually missing something. For those of us who have been going to Lagos pre-1999, Lagos has always been the star, and it's like that because the colonialists actually settled there. They developed it. They built the port, the railway system, the airport and seaports. That's that. For many decades, it was the Federal Capital Territory. All of us combined together as Nigerians sunk money in Lagos. We built the third mainland. Since we took, the Federal Capital Territory to Abuja, the only thing I can tell you that actually rose up in Lagos, and I would say, this is commendable, is the Lekki-Ikoyi link bridge. Apart from that, nothing. And yet, almost every month, 100 billion. Where exactly is the money going into? These are the questions we need to ask. Nothing is spectacular in Lagos. Put an idiot in.
Even the Lekki-Ikoyi link bridge is not. It's not close to the length of Third Mainland. Not even.
Are you
even by the lowest percentage.
No, for a very long time, Third Mainland was the longest bridge in Africa. I'm not sure anybody has actually overtaken that feat. Lekki-Ikoyi, I can remember when they did it. Then they said it was for $100 million, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?
How many meters?
Are you kidding me?" It's just pure larceny, in my opinion. We're talking about spending what belongs to the people on the people. Not that LIRS will collect money, Lagos Inland Revenue Service will collect money at the end of the month, will now transfer to a company before the company sends it to the account of Lagos State government. LIRS is a Lagos State government agency. They gather taxes, they do everything. They will have to transfer money to the account of a company that is privately owned before that one now transfers back to the state. They fear God now.
It is well. Let's talk about education quickly. 2025 UTME result consistent with 12 years trend. The Registrar of JAM, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, has clarified that the performance statistics for the 2025 UTME were in line with results recorded over the past 12 years. Addressing the public concerns about this year's outcome, Oloyede explained that the results were not unusual. In an interview with the News Agency of Nigeria on Wednesday in Abuja, he noted that out of 1.9 million candidates who sat for the UTME, approximately 1.5 scored below 200. He emphasized, however, that such results were not unusual and aligned with historical patterns. This is not peculiar this year. The performance statistics are consistent with those of the past 12 years, he said.
So it's about juxtaposing failure now. You are now rationalizing failure. What is the meaning of this? How exactly did we get here? Number one, I should say that Mr. Oloyede actually contributed to what's on the ground. Because on the day these people were supposed to write their exams, little children of 16, 17, they were already on the road around 5 a.m.
Yes.
Some of them traveled from Ibadan to as far as, places where you'd actually need to drive 1 or 2 kilometers where you get to.
I know someone who was supposed to head outside of state.
Outside of state.
To go and I mean, this boy didn't take jam this year.
I know, how exactly would you want that to make sense? It's not making sense. That is one. Number two, why exactly should these people write jam every year? What is a noun has not changed since we defined what a noun is. If you pass JAM for once, I mean, why can't you keep your certificate for 5 years?
I mean, even the IELTS, you use that for 2 years.
So what are we talking about here? For me, it's not about helping the people. It's about carefully and craftily designing a web of failures that will make these children fail so that they can come back next year to come and pay another money. That's all I can see here.
Thank you so much for your time.
It's always an honor to be here.
Thank you so much, Oyo State. Thank you so much, Ibadan. And that's all we can take this morning on Perspectives Unlimited. The show returns again on Monday. But remember to join the roundtable team tomorrow to look at critical issues straight out of the dailies and, of course, trending situation in Nigeria. Up next is AM Sport. Lizette Femi Oloyade is in the studio. My name is Ayo Emmanuel-Ojo. God bless you.